Hi everyone, we are presenting on Gillette and the Best Men Can Be campaign. Gillette is a well-known company that sells and distributes high-quality men's grooming products rooting all the way back to 1903. The razor's big debut was during World War I when the products were distributed to the soldiers. It wasn't until Gillette began advertising in the sports industry during big events like the World Series and the Kentucky Derby for them to start gaining a following. They eventually launched their own original tagline, "The Best a Man Can Get," in 1990. Every company has their own strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Gillette benefited from being associated with Procter & Gamble. They're a really great company with a good reputation and a lot of experience. They've also been proven to consistently provide its consumers really innovative products that are also very reliable. Also, razor production is, in general, a very profitable business. On the other hand, Gillette's weaknesses include their high-priced products. There are a lot more affordable options on the market. There's always room for a brand to grow. Gillette's biggest concern is consumers choosing other razors because they are cheaper. Gillette can explain why their products are on the higher end by educating their consumers on their innovative qualities and what makes them different, which is something that a lot of the alternatives lack. They can also continue introducing new products that draw people in. Some of Gillette's threats include other competitors in the same market like Schick and Dollar Shave Club. Lastly, with expectations and developments constantly changing, it is important for Gillette to stay relevant by keeping up with these trends, which is sometimes challenging. So, what happened in this case? In January of 2019, Gillette released an advertisement titled "We Believe the Best Men Can Be," engaging with the Me Too movement. This advertisement features news clips of reporting on the Me Too movement, as well as images showing sexism in films, boardrooms, and of violence between boys. It immediately went viral and received both positive and negative feedback. Despite the scandal, Gillette's sales were not negatively affected. In fact, they actually rose by 7%. So here's a video of the advertisement.
Bullying.
The Me Too movement against sexual
Toxic
harassment.
masculinity.
Is this the best a man can get? Is it?
It's likely happening here in bullying as well.
A problem
We can't hide from it.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
It's been going on far too long. We can't laugh it off.
Who's the daddy?
What I actually think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Boys will be boys.
Boys will be boys. Boys will be boys.
But something finally changed.
Allegations regarding sexual assault and sexual harassment.
But she says
And there will be no going back. Because we believe in the best in men.
Smile, sweetie.
Come on.
To say the right thing. To act the right way.
Bro, not cool, not cool.
Some already are. In ways big
Yo, men, we're acting like we gonna shake it.
and small.
I am strong.
But some is not enough.
It's not how we treat each other, okay? Okay.
Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
The stakeholders in this case are customers of Gillette's, both the ones that agreed and disagreed with the message, Dollar Shave Club, Schick, and other competitors, the people involved with the Me Too movement, viewers who have experienced the things portrayed in the advertisement, as well as the nonprofit organizations that Gillette works with. PR is needed in this case to prove the good intentions of the message and the advertisement. It's needed to change the opinions of people who are against the advertisement and to just rebuild and address their internet presence and reputation.
On January 13, 2019, Gillette released a commercial that pointed out the toxic masculinity, the sexual harassment, and the bullying that goes on in the world. On January 15, 2019, the backlash started on Twitter. People thought it was insensitive, some people thought that it was disrespectful, and they didn't understand how Gillette could say this about men when their slogan was the best the man could get. So that following day, hashtag Gillette ad was trending on Twitter. The commercial had more than 12 million views on YouTube, and 1,700 people thumbs up the video on YouTube, and 10,000 people thumbs down the video on YouTube. There was a lot of positives that came from this, and there was a lot of negatives that came from this. So as you can see, some of the tweets that were sent out, some people really thought this was a great campaign. They thought, like, it's about time that we stop justifying the way men act and stop saying boys will be boys and show them how a man should act. Other people didn't think that way. They thought that Gillette was rude and they thought it was insensitive. They're tweeting, I'm a man, I'm not toxic, I don't sexually harass people, and I don't bully people. And a lot of people said, if you're the person that's so upset about this campaign, you should take a look in the mirror because you probably are doing one of these things. Gillette's marketing team researched a lot of market trends that went along with the hashtag MeToo movement and a national conversation with some of the country's most powerful men. Panjak Bala, the North American brand director for Gillette, conducted focus groups for men and women. The one for men, he asked how they felt about this commercial and how they felt about toxic masculinity, if they were ever accused of it. And the common answer was they know they're not bad people, and they know that, but they just don't know how to be the best version of themselves. So Gillette then asked themselves, what can we do to be the best version of ourselves? If we're saying what can other people do, what can we do? So Gillette decided that they would donate $1 million for 3 years to a nonprofit that supports being positive role models in the community. Gillette attempted to demolish the stereotypical gender roles and the harmful racial stereotypes. They did this by creating an ad that they knew would get people talking about their company and their actions. They would say, do people perceive me as this? I'm a man. I don't want them to think I'm toxic, or I sexually harass anyone, or I bully anyone, so maybe I need to change myself to be a better person. So many companies try not to get involved with certain social issues because it could be controversial to their company. Gillette is known for selling men's razors, so why would they make an advertisement that kind of bashes men and the way that they act? So Gillette also used encouraging moral behavior or attitude change as a strategy. They wanted people to live this example. They didn't want just people to say, like, toxic masculinity is terrible, we're not going to do it. They wanted them to show their actions. They wanted men to show that they weren't toxic and that this commercial was wrong. Most commercials are aired to promote a product and their company, and most of the time they want the customer to feel good about buying from them. Gillette felt that this type of commercial was important to them because a former CEO of Gillette was fired because he was sexually harassing an employee. A lot of times there are instances like this in an office, and they're usually done by people who are higher up, and sometimes they just get swept under the rug, and eventually the employee will quit, and then it'll just happen to somebody else. So Gillette took a situation that happened to them and turned it into something positive. They wanted to promote it, and they wanted people to know about it, and they wanted people to know that that's not okay, and that's not what their company stands for. There's always a chance that a company's reputation will be tarnished, and their sales will decrease, and they'll lose customers, especially when they make a controversial issue. Gillette did some research and discovered that when Nike hired Colin Kaepernick to be their spokesman, their sales didn't decrease, they actually increased by a lot. Gillette felt more comfortable knowing that not just Nike, but other companies have done this before, and they took a risk. And their sales didn't decrease, they increased. Some companies did decrease, but it was a chance they were willing to take. Luckily, Gillette did receive some positive reinforcement from this commercial, and customers still bought their products, and their sales actually rose 7%.
Hello guys, my name is Carlos. Today I'm going to actually talk about the critical analysis of Gillette's campaign. In my opinion, I think it was a big mistake in this campaign, honestly. I think Gillette was trying to send a positive message in a way, but I think like by the time that they published this video, or actually it was not the what they were trying to show to the audience. I think Gillette did not know how to handle the message well, and therefore the company received many criticisms. The way the video started was not appropriate. They started with showing illustrations of series that actually was very unpleasant. Also negative behaviors, and that includes like fighting, sexual harassment, of bullying, also involving the Me Too movement, and also shamelessly interfering with a woman speaking in the workplace. I think that actually was out of format, because the audience were thinking at the time that, oh, I mean, that's how Gillette thinks like male are, you know. I mean, they think like males are actually animals, that they actually don't know how to behave, and that actually that video actually offend many people. Also, I would say that that at the end of the video, the question, is this the best men can get? And actually I think that was actually bad, because it kind of like giving a bad perspective for me how Gillette is handled the male image to everyone. And also hundreds of men actually they posted on Twitter throwing their Gillette blades in the trash as a sign of protest. And also another fact that actually showed that it was bad, it was actually a video that when after the video, customers chose to switch to other companies. They didn't blame them for everything bad that happens in the world just because they belong to the male gender. And also celebrities showed their disagreement on social media, saying that the campaign was a repudiation of the male sex. I actually think like it's right, because if you're gonna promote a video or by proposing the best image of a male figure, I actually think like you should start showing good videos or good images, you know, like for example a male helping his mother, or helping his family, or maybe like, I don't know, maybe probably a man open the door for a woman, things like that. Actually it will make actually better the video than showing bad images or videos, I mean, in which most men actually they feel they're very offended. What I have done differently, I would say, like, is the fact that I've been more open-minded. One of the things that is because when you are building this type of campaigns, I think like you should be able to recognize everyone's point of view, because everyone thinks differently. Let's say like for you, for example, you might think like if you create a video that you think it might be very successful for other person, they might think like very differently. And the same thing it actually is happening in this campaign, because Gillette actually, they thought this video will be create such a big impact, especially because they were thinking that these images and videos were actually showing that men can be better than this, but in reality some people, they were thinking differently, such as, for example, they were thinking, oh, this is how Gillette think about men's. I actually not gonna buy anything from Gillette anymore. And this what happens all the time, you know what I mean. Also another thing like is try to deliver a positive message. For example, like if I'm gonna post a video in regard to male, I will say like we'll post something different, like maybe a male person probably helping his family or helping his child, or doing something good that it will make that it will make male's image better than actually what Gillette did. Because actually, even myself, I mean, for example, when I saw the video, the first thing I thought it was like, oh, Gillette, I mean, this is what Gillette thinks about men. I mean, I think like I mean, as I mentioned, like, you know, everyone's have a different point of view, and this is why, I mean, I think like it should be done differently. Also using the term toxic masculinity, I think that word actually it shouldn't be used, especially in this campaign, because after all this happening, actually just will make it worse, you know?
Alright, so what was missing? They were missing a publicized motive, and I feel like that's what caused people to become confused as to what side they were on or why they were getting involved in such a big social issue. Definitely, if they were to do it again, I felt that they should let the public know that they're getting involved in such a topic and maybe express their stance on that topic before, during, and after the campaign's running. Because as we know, in this digital media era, it's easy for a company to fall into the bad spotlight and go viral for something with misinformation and other headlines guiding the message. So I felt that definitely Gillette should communicate with the public before, during, and after about their stance on the topic, instead of just coming out of nowhere dropping this campaign. So many things to be taken away from this case. One would be to communicate with the audience. Gillette failed to communicate with their audience beforehand, leaving them confused and not sure as to why Gillette even got involved in the first place. Two would be to make the position clear at all times, because as you saw in the comments of the video, there's many opinions and it's split down the middle on what Gillette's intentions were with it or whether they were right in the first place in getting involved. Three would be that controversy goes viral, and that could either be a good thing or a bad thing, but Gillette kind of used this to their advantage because they were in the conversation about Me Too movement and they really got the ball rolling with it. So it was definitely a success with that. Say good, do good. So they pledged to give $1 million to organizations that help men achieve their personal best for 3 consecutive years. And so that's definitely a sign of great social responsibility and them continuing on to pursue their intended message with the campaign. Next, definitely for the future, maybe a focus group for their YouTube ad in order to see how people would react and to know what kind of backlash they would be dealing with in order to have a faster response. Overall, Gillette did a good job at getting the conversation started, and although it was very controversial, it ended up working out in the best for them.